All right, let's talk about Microsoft. We're going to dive into a really fascinating investment idea today. And the big idea is this: 2026 is shaping up to be the year that Microsoft truly hits its stride in the whole AI revolution. So here's the central question we need to tackle. Look, we're all hearing about AI nonstop, right? But a lot of investors are getting kind of nervous about all the hype and the huge amounts of money being spent. It's easy to get burned. So what makes Microsoft different? Why is 2026 circled on the calendar as their year? Well, it all starts with where we are right now. We're basically at a huge turning point for AI. You could even call it a new industrial revolution. And we are right on the cusp of the big shift. And this right here is the absolute key. For the last couple of years, everyone's been just playing around with AI, running experiments, pilot programs, that kind of thing. But that phase is coming to an end. We are now shifting into full-blown execution mode. And that's where the real money gets made. So why is this shift so important for Microsoft? Because this move, from just trying things out to actually building them into the business, plays directly into everything Microsoft is good at. It's their sweet spot. Let's just break this down. For a while, we've been in step 1, the experimentation phase, kind of like dipping your toes in the water. But now we're jumping headfirst into step 2, full-scale deployment. This is where companies sign massive multi-year contracts. This is where the real infrastructure gets built. And let's be honest, this is where the serious profits are. I love this quote because it just nails it. Think about it. For Microsoft, AI isn't some extra little feature they're trying to sell you. No way. It's becoming the connective tissue. It's being woven into the very fabric of the tools that millions of businesses already use and pay for day in and day out. And that ecosystem is just massive. We're talking about AI showing up everywhere in their cloud platform Azure, in Windows, in Microsoft 365, which is Word, Excel, all that stuff, in their business tools, for developers on GitHub, and even in their security tools. They're not building a new house, they're just upgrading a mansion that's already built. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts, because this is where the growth story really takes off. It's all about this powerful engine created by their Azure cloud platform working hand in hand with their AI services. Just check out this number. The analysis suggests that by fiscal year 2026, AI-driven cloud services alone could add an extra $26 billion to Microsoft's revenue. I mean, that's not just a little boost. That is a gigantic new revenue stream materializing out of thin air. So you might be asking, how in the world do they get to a number that big? Well, it's all about scale. The prediction is that in just a few years, a whopping 75%, 3/4 of all of Microsoft's big business customers will be using their AI tools. When you have that kind of adoption, it completely changes the game for the company's growth. This whole strategy sets Microsoft up perfectly as what's called a picks and shovels provider. Back in the gold rush, the people who got rich for sure weren't always the ones digging for gold. It was the folks selling them the picks and shovels. Well, we're in an AI gold rush, and Microsoft is selling the essential tools that everybody else needs to play. All right, so the story sounds good. But is it actually happening? Is this showing up in the financial reports? Well, let's take a look at the momentum in the numbers. I mean, just look at this. Total company revenue is up 18% from last year, which is already incredible for a company this big. But then you zoom in. The intelligent cloud business is up 28%, and Azure itself, it's growing at nearly 40%. That is a monster growth engine, and it's firing on all cylinders. So yeah, that data is a huge signal that this is already underway. It's not just a theory. But the really exciting part of this whole idea isn't just what's happening now. It's about how clearly we can see the revenue that's coming in the future. And here's the number that tells that story. Almost $400 billion. That's Microsoft's remaining performance obligation, or RPO. It sounds complicated, but all it means is committed future revenue. This is money from customers who have already signed long-term contracts. It tells you companies aren't just testing the waters, they're locking themselves in for years. So we've got the strategy, we've got the numbers to back it up, but what does it all mean for the stock price? What are the folks on Wall Street saying about all this? First up, let's talk valuation. Now, Microsoft isn't what you'd call a cheap stock. It trades with a price-to-earnings ratio in the mid-30s. But here's the really interesting part. While that's pretty high, it's actually a little bit cheaper than where Microsoft has historically traded. And this is where it starts to look really compelling. The author of this analysis puts a fair value on the stock at about $530. But then you look at what the average analyst on Wall Street thinks, and wow, they're even more bullish with an average target price over $630. So what's the bottom line? The consensus on Wall Street is a strong buy. And that average price target we just looked at suggests there could be almost 30% upside in the stock by 2026, all driven by this idea of AI execution. So that really leaves us with this one big final question to think about. We know the world is moving past just playing with AI and is now making it essential infrastructure. So is Microsoft, by weaving AI into its ecosystem as that connective tissue, actually building an unbreakable competitive fortress that could last for the next decade? That's the billion or maybe trillion-dollar question.